Okay, so good morning. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Catherine. I work at Oklahoma Career Tech, and I am the trainer, the state trainer for OK Career Guide. That's my primary role. And so we're going to be going over the new admin system in this training today. So I'm really happy you're with me. One thing I'll tell you is that I am new to this system, just like all of you are. So bear with me. This is my first time to do this training. I've had to go in and practice myself. So just know if I miss anything, add it to the chat. Feel free to come off mute and interrupt me. This is going to be a casual thing, but just know I'm brand new to it, just like you guys are. So I'm learning it as well. When you guys ask questions, it helps me learn too. So again, for those of you joining, my name's Catherine. We're going to be doing the new admin system today. Before I get started into the new admin system, I want to introduce a few folks. So we have Nathan Brubaker here with us. He's the little minion you see on your screen. And so Nate is also in my office with me. He does lots of elementary stuff, Galaxy. So if you're interested in getting elementary plugged in, Nate is your guy. As you can see, his camera came on. He's got his Galaxy background, the little green man. Kind of hard to see it because of the screen, I guess. But I also want to introduce John Milroy. John is with our vendor, Cooter. I'm so glad, John, that you're here today because John's the one that helped create this system. So if I miss anything, he will definitely speak up and say something. Hi, John.
Good morning.
Good morning. And then lastly, I want to introduce Jennifer Peters. So Jennifer is with the State Department of Education. Good morning, Jennifer. So glad you're here. So if you have any ICAP questions, she's going to be your gal. She's going to be your person to go to. She can put her email in the chat too if you guys want to contact her. So wanted to introduce all of us before we get started. What we're going to do now is I'm actually going to share my screen, and you guys are going to get an introduction to the new admin system. So you should see my screen. And what I'll tell you is the first thing you need to do to get here, just in case you're new to this, is if you go to just our landing page, okcareerguide.org.com, you will see our new login screen. Okay, so feel free, if you do not have access to this, this is where you're going to go. You'll see right up here in the orange, you can't miss it. Please contact us about the new Navigator feature for admin. So if you don't have access to it, go ahead and do that. If you do have access to it, the great way to log in is to go here to the 6 through 12 login and log in as an administrator. And then it'll take you to the login page here. So as you can see, it takes me right there. Any questions about any of that? Has anybody had problems getting into that? People feel comfortable with it? Okay. So once you log in, this will be the screen that you see. It's a lot different than the old one, as you've probably noticed if you've already been in it or played around in it. So it's brand new. Again, this is our Tutor Navigator. So this specifically is going to be for our secondary folks. So 6th through 12th grade users, so our teachers, our administrators, our counselors, any admin, this will be the new reporting system you guys will use. So we'll go through it today. If you have any questions along the way, again, just throw those in the chat or come off mute. So first thing I want to talk through is when you log in, you're going to see some little features up here in the left-hand corner. Okay, so the first one is a search bar. You can search for students here. We'll come back to that in just a moment. And then you've also got your settings, which take you to just your own personal settings. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. But if you ever need to update your password or your email, you can do so here. And then we've also got notifications. So any notifications of your students doing different activities will pop up here. You'll also get emails about these notifications too. you have two notifications, so forth and so on. You may have already noticed some of those Cooter emails coming through in the last week or two. So, and then lastly, over here, little profile, this is going to tell you a little bit about yourself, but I pull it up because I want you to know the way to know what access you have within the system is down here. So access level. So there's different levels of access to the administrative account that people can have. District level is where you can see all of your schools that use OK Career Guide, middle schools and high schools, right? If you have teacher access, your account's going to look a little different. You won't have as many features within this system. And so that's something I do want you to be aware of, is what access you have and what you may need. You may need district access. If you don't have that, let us know if that's something you think you need. Okay. So one thing I do want to point out on this main screen is right here where it says schools. So where it says schools, you'll see I have 3 different schools pop up. So this includes our career tech, tech training, high school and middle school. What that means is I just have district level access, so I can see all 3 of my schools. If I'm trying to look for the high school, I am going to click high school and deselect tech training. That way I can just see my high school students. Now, we've had some folks ask, hey, my school's not showing up. I'm not seeing my student data. It's likely because you need to go in under the schools drop down and select the school that you need. Any questions about any of that so far? Okay, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat just in case. So after we have looked at the home page, I'm actually going to move over to this left-hand menu first. We'll come back to this home page at the end, but I want to start over here in this left-hand column. So you're going to see that we have new features in this left-hand column. We have organized students in groups, additional resources. We're not going to cover that today. That's something we can do in the future, but today I don't feel like it's necessary. We'll look a little bit at configure student plans, and then we'll look at organization management. So to start off, let's go to organize students in groups. So if you're in your admin system, feel free to walk along with me. So we're going to go to student list. Okay, and so you'll see a list of your students come up. So you'll see first and last name. You'll have to make sure they're in the high school. So as you can see, I selected the high school on the home page, so it's showing that now. Another thing I want to point out to you and show you is you can see your students' usernames right here. So if a student is saying, hey, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, I can't get into my account, I don't remember my login, you have their username right here. And then I'll show you how you can actually reset their password too. Now, another thing I want to show you is over here in the advanced filters. So if you click advanced filters, you can see that you can select just 9th grade. You can just select 10th grade and so forth and so on. I don't have any 10th graders, but I do have, well, some juniors. So keep that in mind that you can filter by grade if you need to. So now let's check into a student. I'm going to search for my fake student account. I'm trying to make this a little bit easier. Try this again. Okay, so I'm going to search for my fake student account. So I'm going to Tammy Taylor. That's my fake student. I say that. Where's she at? Try this again. There she is. Okay, so you can see Tammy Taylor. You can see Kay Wilhoit. Again, I'm Catherine Wilhoit, so that's me. I can see that she's in 11th grade. So I'm going to click on Tammy. And right here is where you can actually generate a password for that individual, for that student. So you know where to find usernames. Username is on that main screen right here. And then once you click on the student, you can reset their password right there on the main page. So you just get a quick overview of the student's information here. You can also add a parent or guardian for your students here. So you can invite a parent. Clicking on this, you can enter their first and last name and send them an email or a text message. So once they get that, they will go in, sign up for a parent account, and then they have access to their students' information, assessment results, goals, and so forth. Okay, so a couple of other things I want to show you is you can click through each of these. So we've got Discover. Discover is going to show you your students' assessment results. So again, my fake account is Tammy Taylor. I'm looking through her assessment results. I can also see the dates that she's done her assessments, right? So that's perfect. I know that she did it last academic year, really 2 academic years ago. She needs to do some catch up, right? So you can also go to Explore. And so this is going to show your students information if they favorited certain things. So maybe they favorited work values. So I favorited these 4 work values. This may or may not be relevant to you, but that is something you can look at. You can also toggle to options after high school. So you can see my student account. I want to go to a community college or a technology center. Now, if I go to plan, I'm going to be able to see that student's goals, when they did it, if it's completed, or if it's still in progress. I can also see any education plans they've done. I can click into them, and it'll load and show me what the student's done so far for their ed plan. Going back to Explore, or to Plan, I should say. I can also click on ICAP and see where they are for ICAP. Okay, perfect. They've done their assessments. They've done their ed plan, and so forth and so on. So I can see all of that under ICAP. And then lastly, if I go to Prepare, it's going to show me any documents they've uploaded. So for example, maybe your students went to a college and career fair and they're using that as a work-based learning experience because they want to go to, say, OSUIT. They went on a detailed tour of their graphic design program and they know that's where they want to go. Well, they can, upload a document, showing that they went to that career fair and what they learned from it. And then you can access that here. All right, any questions so far? It's so funny when I'm on Zoom, I feel like I'm talking to myself. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, the other thing I want to show you is the student portfolio right here. So if I click on the student portfolio, this is really handy. Maybe you have an RAO come to your office and they say, okay, I want to see Tammy Taylor's ICAP, full view of ICAP. You can click their portfolio and it's going to show you every assessment they've taken, when they did their goals. It's going to show when they did their education plan, and then it's going to show in more detail here. So, trying to click on chat. Yes, Ashley, you do have to have this admin access that we're going through today in order to reset a password. Your students can also reset their passwords themselves on their student accounts as well. So I'm going to click into a different page really quickly. But if we go to the main landing page of what students see, they can click log in as a student and then forgot username or forgot password here. So they are able to reset it too, but for you to reset it, you do need admin access. You're welcome. Okay, so on this portfolio, you can see their assessment results. You can see the exact goals and the dates. You can see their favorites. You can see their ed plan and so forth. So this would be really good if an RAO comes and says, I want to see 5 specific juniors, 5 specific seniors, whatever that may look like. You could pull this and show this, and this really shows what you need to show for ICAP purposes. So, all right. So that's an individual student. I'm going to go back really quickly to organize students in groups and student list. So under student list, another thing you can do, so let's say you want to just look for your seniors. You can actually print or download this list if you would like. So keep that in mind that you're able to do that. You can also, again, search for a student here. Alrighty. So moving on, we're going to go back to the organized students in groups, but we're actually going to go act as if we're going to create a group. So a new feature within our admin system is that you can go in, create a group and assign a specific teacher to that group. So say Mrs. Smith is your freshman English teacher, and she does ICAP for freshmen in each class, whatever that may look like. We can go and assign specific students by the hour to Mrs. Smith. So keep that in mind that that's a new option. You can create groups and assign them to teachers. Teachers can have an admin account. Remember I mentioned at the beginning that there's different levels of admin access. So teachers can have an admin account. They just won't have everything that you have. Their view will look a little bit differently. It'll be a little bit shortened just because they don't need to see everything that you see. All right, I'm looking in the chat. So let's go to create a group for me. So click create a group, and this is where you go in and act as if you're going to assign English 1, Mrs. Smith. So to start, let's make sure we're in the right school. So you see it already defaulted to tech training. We want to make sure we're in the high school. And then I'm going to go to advanced filters right over here. And I'm going to do freshman. We're doing freshman English. I can also select by certain last names if I would like to. Okay, I'm going to apply that. And let's say these first handful are in Mrs. Smith's second hour English class. I'm just going to select these first few. I'm going to click add students, and then I can name the group. So Mrs. Smith, freshman English, second hour. You can put a description if you would like. That's up to you. So then we create group, and now those students are added to Mrs. Smith's freshman English second hour, right? But then you may say, great, okay, we've created a group. How do I get the teacher assigned to that group so that when they go into their admin account, they can go and look for that specific group and see their ICAP progress? The way to do that is going back to organize students in groups, go to group list, and then you see it right here, Mrs. Smith, freshman English, second hour. Over here, you can edit the group to add or take out any students, but you can also copy the group. So once you copy the group, you can assign it. So see how Nathan is down here? I can add Nathan to this group, or I can add my fake teacher account to this group, right? Now, we'll come back to this because you do need your teachers in the admin system before you can add them to a group. So hold that thought. If you have questions about how to do that, we'll come back to it. But that's how you create a group. Pretty simple. You can get as fancy and detailed in the groups as you'd like, or you can make it broad, whatever works for you. You can even make groups just for yourself if you would prefer. All right. So the other thing I want to show you in the organized students in groups component is transition students. So this is something that comes up a lot at the beginning of the school year. How do I transition students out? I'm didn't spend a lot of time on this because I actually made a YouTube video last week with directions on how to do this. So I'm going to include that link in the chat. Now you have that. I will email you guys after this with this recording, and I'll also email you the link to this YouTube. But it's just a quick, you can see it's only 10 minutes long, 11 minutes long. So it's not super long for you to watch it and figure out how to transition your students out. But I don't want to spend that 10 minutes doing it if you can watch it in your own time. So that is how you get to transition students. But if you watch my video, I walk you through the entire thing. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to go to is in this left-hand column. Remember, I said I was going to bypass additional resources. This is something we can do at another time, but it's not necessary at this exact time. So if we go to configure student plans, this is where you're going to find your course manager, also known as your education plans. And you're also going to see configure ICAP. Configure ICAP is going to be those Oklahoma green cards that your students see on the student side. So we don't have a lot of time today, unfortunately, to do course manager. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know how to do course manager yet. That's probably the only component in this system that I don't know how to do. So if you have questions about course manager, please get with John and Cooter folks. They can help you get that set up. Again, I'm still learning it. So, okay, I'm seeing John, thank you for answering the chat. So what we are going to do though, is we're going to go to configure ICAP. Okay, so if we click configure ICAP, it's going to ask you to select an organization. I'm going to select the high school, and you can see you can start a brand new, fresh green card plan, or you can continue with an existing plan. So, perfect. Okay. So something I want to show you, I'm going to pull up my student account. And I'm going to log in. Log in as a student. So, Danette, the only reason you would need to do anything in Course Manager would be if you need to edit your education plan. So if you want it to be specific to Sequoia High School, and I can't remember if yours is or not, then we would need to go into Course Manager and make those changes. So reach out to me or to Cooter or to both of us. But again, I am still learning Course Manager. That's one area I feel least competent in. Okay, Becky, I have 2 new counselors that need admin access as well. Yeah, so Becky, hold that thought and I will show you. You can actually add them to the system. So Becky, hold that thought. I promise I will answer your question in this training. So I just wanted to show you really quickly. This is my fake student account member, Tammy Taylor. And if I go to ICAP Oklahoma, these are those green cards I was referring to. So you'll see before graduation, and you see all these different components within my green cards. So if I click back over into my new admin account and I click continue with existing plan, you'll see that these align with my ICAP Oklahoma green cards. So see how they all say before graduation. So that is what your students are seeing. You can edit any of these cards. So let's say I want to edit goals. I can go here and I can turn off the before graduation, and I can just say, I want my 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders to know that they have to do this. And I want to keep it separated by grade. So I'm going to save that. And so now you'll see that goals are separated by grade. If I go back to my student account, see where goals are right here. If I refresh, now you are going to see that goals are down here and they're separated. Academic, career. You can see I did a ton in 10th grade, 11th grade, academic and career. So they're separated now rather than being in the overall before graduation component. So that's one thing you can do. I'm going to edit that again, and I'm going to actually turn on before graduation. And then when I refresh my screen, they go back to the before graduation right here. So keep that in mind that you can separate most of these out by grade. If you say, okay, I just want to see it broken down by 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, you can do that. You can play around it with it as you please. You can make a whole new one, whatever you want to do. But all you have to do is just edit. Now, one thing I want to show you is where it says this card and its tasks are disabled. So I can always make this live, but currently this is not something that students see. So if I edit it, you can see this card is turned off. To turn it back on, all I'd have to do is here and save. So that's something that you can do. You can add new cards down here. You can really make this how you want to make it. You can make it where freshmen only see certain things, sophomores only see certain things. So play around in that and then holler at us if you have questions, but it's pretty easy to edit any. You just click the edit button. To turn any off, you just toggle between the two. And then to add any new, you can click the new custom card. Now, let's say you do want to edit the work-based learning card. If you click this edit, you'll see that you can take out, change anything, anything here. You can even add a new task right down here. So feel free to play around in those. Mary Beth, let me answer your question about ASVAB. So you see right here, Mary Beth, under external assessments where it says ASVAB. So in their student account, what they need to do, because they can't, the system won't let them click it as done. What they have to do is go over here in their left-hand column to my assessments in their student account. And you see my external assessment scores. So once they click that, it'll load and they can add their ASVAB right here. So let's just say I got this and I took it today and I save it. Now it's saved. The system knows that they entered it and it'll go over and be checked now in my ICAP Oklahoma green cards right here. Completed 9/5/2023. So that's how they can enter their ASVAB. Perfect. Okay, Ashley, I'm coming back to you. Is it possible, you're welcome, Mary Beth. Is it possible to upload a document when editing the cards? For example, in work-based learning, can we add a document that students fill out describing their experience? That's a great question, Ashley. I love that. Currently, right now, we don't have that feature. Students would, again, have to go to their My Documents right here and upload a new file as a work sample. That's currently what we have. My dream would be for them to be able to go to ICAP Oklahoma and under their work-based learning card, if they clicked let's say they click career fair, I would want them to have a fill in the blank, a fillable feature right here where they can enter the date and what they learned and da-da-da-da-da. So that's my dream, is to have that, but Cooter has been working overtime to get this new admin system released. So I would love to see that added. Currently, they have to upload it to My Documents. So great question. And remember, for My Documents, for you to find a student's documents, you can go to Organize Students in Groups, Student List, search for a student. I'm going to search for myself, Tammy Taylor. And then I can go to, I think it's under Explore. No, it's under Plan. No, it's under Prepare. It's under Prepare. See, I told you, I'm still learning this myself, so bear with me. But then if you go to Prepare, you can see documents they've uploaded. So that's currently, but that's my dream, Ashley, is to be able to do that. So great question. Sarah, that's a great question. Hey, John. Sarah is asking in the chat, do these update in real time now, or do they still update at 6 a.m.?
The data from this right here,
Yes.
they update. Let me check real quick. I can have an answer like in 2 minutes, but I want to say it's real time every 15 minutes.
Okay.
So not real time, but every 15 minutes. But let me check real quick.
Sarah, we'll find out for you. Great question. So, okay, any other questions before I move on? All righty, so let's see. I want to move forward because I remember somebody had asked, I'm going through the chat, Becky. So Becky had asked, how can I add teachers, other counselors, whatever, to the system? So I'm going to go back to this left-hand column, and now we're going to go to Organize Management right here. So we have a few options. If you're district level, you will see district, school, access request, denied request. So you'll see those 4. So if you click district management, I just want you to see it. You're going to see everyone who has access to this system, no matter what level, right? So you can see I have add district admin. So, well, okay, let me back up. If we go to district management, you can see everybody who has district level access, okay? So you can see anybody you've sent a password set up to, maybe they haven't set it up yet, but you can see that Nathan and I have district level admin and we're a current member. If I go to the next one down, school management, I can see any teachers that I've added. So here you can see I've added myself as a fake teacher with my personal email. I've added Julie, my other coworker. She is an educator level. So that's essentially what it would look like for you to see your teacher level access. All righty. So now, Becky, you said, hey, how do I get people into the system? What do I do? So if you go back to your district management, that first one under organization management and then district management, you're going to see the option to invite users right up here, but only district level access can invite other users. So if I click invite user, it's going to pop up and I can add, let's act like I'm going to add Jennifer Peters from SDE. Jennifer, I hope I get your email right. I should know your email at this point.
.ok.gov.
.ok.gov.
Name.
Okay, I was kind of close. We got it. Okay, so I'm going to act like I'm adding Jennifer to this system. And you'll see after I've entered their information, I can give them a specific role. So I can give them an educator role. It just gives them access to pull reports for specific students that you assign to a specific group. You can give them a school admin access. They don't see as much, but then you can also give district level admin. I really would only give district level admin to principal, assistant principal, superintendent, counselor. Other than that, I would assign your teachers as educators. So Becky, hopefully that answers your question for your counselors. I would probably give them district level access. So that is something that you can do. You'll see under educator, you can assign them to different sites. So maybe your teacher is actually a middle school career and technology education teacher, and they do lots of ICAP, pre-ICAP things with 8th grade. I can just assign them to just middle school. Or I can assign them to both middle school and high school. It's up to you how you want to do that. But for a teacher, I would assign them as an educator. Okay. All righty. Let me get out of that. I'm gonna get in the chat. Reading the chat. So Miss Sanders, Lana, reach out to support. It's really simple to get you changed over to district level admin. Basically, what they have to do is they have to remove your current admin level, and then they send you directions to fill out. It's really easy, very simple. They'll send it in an email. And then once you've filled out that information, Tutor goes in and approves you as a district level admin. So email them and just say, hey, this is the school I'm with. I need district level admin access in the new admin system, and they'll know what to do. It's not very hard and it shouldn't take very long. Oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
I was just
Is that
gonna,
right, John?
yeah, I was just gonna say, also too, I know I'm talking with or typing with Stacy as well, and we'll exactly what Catherine had said. I'm just sending a message to a guy here, and we'll kind of do what we were doing with Jennifer, not Peters, but the other Jennifer. I'm sorry, I forgot the last name.
I think it was.
Yeah, but we'll do the same thing in a lot of for some of the schools, since we have a good majority of the contacts, but if we didn't have a contact, it was sent to either your principal or your superintendent. So some of the ones I've been looking at were sent to the superintendent, which
Yes.
maybe she is not super involved on the day to day. So, but we'll get that taken care of.
Yes.
And Stacy, I will do this one, but then Lana, if you can email, I'll put it in the chat again, but support@cooter.com. They'll do the same thing, and it'll be, like Catherine said, pretty quick.
Perfect. Thanks, John. Thanks so much. Nicole, I did not miss your question in the chat. So how do we assign a teacher to a group? So now we've walked through how you can invite a user. So again, remember I went to my district management, invite user. I entered Jennifer's information. Let's act as if I sent her an educator role, and I assigned her to our high school and I invited her. So after I've invited her as an educator, she will get an email really quickly within a minute or so. She can go in, create a login, and she will have access to the administrative account. It's like I said this morning or earlier this morning, it's just a little less access that they get, but they only need to see certain students. So let's act as if now they're in the system. So you can see under school management, I have a fake teacher account right here. And I sent this to my personal email. So now I want to assign my fake teacher account, I'm just using this as an example, to that group I created. So if I go to organize students and groups right here, and go to group list, you'll see this little human person right here, copy that group, and then I can select my fake teacher account, copy group to user, and then whenever I log into my fake teacher account, I will be able to see Miss Smith freshman English second hour, right? And then I'll be able to click into these students and say, okay, perfect. I've got all of my students right here from my second hour English class. Okay, Becky, hold that thought. I'll come back to that in just a moment. So any other questions about admin right now? I'm gonna move forward. We've still got 20 minutes, so we have plenty of time. We're good on time. Since this was my first time doing this, I didn't know what timing would look like, but any questions so far? Okay. If not, I'm gonna come back to Becky's question. So she says, I have a student who reported that he took his ACT test in his student account, but it's not showing the Oklahoma ICAP report. He submitted information last week. Okay, so Becky, I would probably have to see that account to see what exactly could be going on. But one thing I will tell you is in his student account, you may make sure that over in his ICAP Oklahoma on the left-hand menu, that he went to ACT and selected that. He did it on, I don't know, I'm just gonna pick a random day. Of course, he didn't do it May 9th, but let's just act like he did. And he submitted it. And then it'll show here. But again, John's checking to see if it updates in real time. So if you were to do that today, it may not show on that report until tomorrow morning. John?
Yeah, and I'm still getting the updates, the frequency of it, but then also to some of this for the one about the ACT that has to do with some of the questions that I had for you and for Jennifer Peters.
Yes.
So I know, Jennifer, we got your response this morning, so we'll be making some updates. So you will be able to see it. Becky, it was just we had some clarifying questions about ICAP we wanted to run by the Department of Ed and Catherine at Career Tech. So you will be seeing those shortly. We just wanted to make sure everything was right and perfect for 23-24 school year.
Yes. Yes, John, thank you. And Becky, like John was saying, we are working on updating that report, and we've been working with Jennifer and her team at State Department. And so we should have that Oklahoma ICAP report that you're talking about. That should be updating within this week, hopefully, is the plan. I don't want to make any promises because our folks at Cooter do that, but they will be updating that. So if it's not showing right now, hold tight and we'll make sure within the week, by this time next week, if it's still not, reach out to us. I'll put my email in the chat. Or you can put your email in the chat and I'll be sure to make a note to reach out to you on Monday and say, hey, Miss Becky, is this working yet for you? So just let us know, but we are working on that report and it should be up to date pretty soon. Perfect. Thanks, Becky. I got that. Let me make sure I save it. And then I'll email you on Monday morning and we'll make sure it's good to go. Okay, so we've got about 15 more minutes. I want to show you just a couple more things. So we've gone through this left-hand menu and covered just a few things. We haven't covered everything. Like I mentioned, I am not as familiar with Course Manager yet, but that's something that I'm working on. But we have covered all the features here. If you have any questions about transitioning students, again, I will send you the video link for that, the YouTube link. It's 11 minutes long, like I mentioned. We've gone over configuring the ICAP Oklahoma green cards, and we've gone through management organization. So on the home page, you're going to see the main reports. I wanted to go through the left-hand menu for it to kind of make sense, but you're going to see the reports. So you'll see I'm in the training high school, and right now it's showing school. So it's showing my entire school, all of the main reports. So if I scroll down here, I can see specific reports that I may want to pull. If I go back up here, I can click on groups, and then I can see Mrs. Smith's freshman English second hour that I made just a little bit ago. If you have more than one group, you'll be able to select into multiple groups or select one at a time. You can also do by specific date range. So if you want to do right now, currently what students are doing, last academic year, today, or a custom date range, but you can filter that as you please. So you can toggle between schools and groups when it comes to the reports. Okay, so going back to schools, the first snippet is going to just show you insights. So you'll see it's showing you the free assessments and ed plans. The green are the students who have completed their assessments. The blue is that they've started it but not completed it yet, and then not started. So if a student selects into, or not a student, if you select into not started, it's going to pull your list of students who have not started their assessments yet. And remember, you can do by specific date range. You can do by advanced filters. So you may want to just do your 12th grade to start, apply, and you can see who out of your senior year class, your 12th grade class, has not started their assessments this year yet, right? You can also go back to advanced filters and select a skills confidence, for example. Okay, this is my group of seniors who have not done skills confidence. I can also see work values. This is my group that's not done work values. Okay, or I can do all assessments and apply. So feel free to play around in that as you please. And you can also toggle between groups. So you can see Mrs. Smith's freshman second hour. So again, that was just on that home screen under Insights. You can also select into Ed Plans and do the same thing. Okay, John in the chat says, the refresh for student updates to show in your admin system, so like assessments, goals, and so forth, is every 17 seconds. So it's very quick turnaround once your students do it.
To be exact.
That is 17 seconds. That's pretty impressive. All right, so now down at the very bottom, this is where you can pull various reports. So the one I want to show you today is, well, I'm going to show you two. I'm going to show you assessment summary. So if I click assessment summary, I can see in my high school the overall aggregate data for my current academic year for the high school. And I can even click into groups up here. I can go to skills confidence, work values, and so forth. Now you may be wondering, okay, why would this be relevant? So if you wanted to bring in guest speakers to do work-based learning, or if you wanted to have a career fair at your school, this would be a great report to pull to have an understanding of what your students are most interested in based on their assessment results. So education and training, we always see that in Oklahoma across the board, but then we also have human services. So you could bring in therapy dogs, whatever that may look like, folks from your tech centers. You could bring in police officers, you could bring in nurses, sonographers, whatever that may look like, and have them come speak to your students because that tends to be what they're most interested in. We've also got ag that's really high for our fake school, right? So this is, again, our career tech school. So it'll look different for you, but that's something that you may want to use if you're trying to decipher who would be most relevant to bring in for your students for work-based learning opportunities within the school, whether that's a career fair, guest speakers, what have you. All right, I'm going to check the chat. Okay, so another report is assessment status. So I'm going to click into assessment status, and this is going to show you all of your students and their assessment results in terms of if they've done them or not. So you can see Alicia, she did a bunch of them. She did 3 of them just a couple weeks ago. So Alicia, she's good on her assessments for this academic year. She's done what she needs to do. You can even do advanced filters, and you can say, okay, I want to see my seniors and kind of get an idea of who's doing what. Okay, so I can see all of these students have not yet started their assessments. I can download this and it'll download right up here as an Excel document. And so you'll see that load and pull up here. And then you'll get an idea of who has and has not done theirs. Okay, I'm going to exit out. You can also print this if you would like. And then again, remember, you can toggle between groups. So if you go over to groups, you can see none of her students have done their assessments yet, as you can see. All right. You also have education plans, the Oklahoma ICAP report. Remember, we're working on that Oklahoma ICAP report. It should be finalized in the next few days, hopefully. So keep an eye on that. Goal summary, you can pull goal summary here. And it looks very much similar to what we were just looking at for assessments. You can do advanced filters. And, oh, it's because I'm in my group still, but if I go back to my school, I can do advanced filters for my seniors. I can see that most of my students haven't done their goals yet. Okay, so we need to go in and have them do an academic goal, career goal, whatever that may look like. Again, you can download or print. Oh, well, that's why I need to be in the high school. So always be mindful if you're in a district account to double check your school. We're working on getting that fixed so that it defaults to the high school always, or depending on what level of access your folks have. If they are assigned to the middle school, it always is at the middle school level. So keep that in mind. You'll want to make sure it's in the right school. And then you can do advanced filters, however you please, whatever that may look like. Again, remember, you can also click into students and it's going to show that overall profile that we walked through earlier today. And we get that from student list right over here. So that's just a quick overview. We have a few more minutes left and I have gone over everything that I want to go over. Again, we do have this additional resources. This is really if you want to post messages for your students to see. So if I'm in my student account, I've bumped over here. If you were to send a message to your students, it would pop up over here in this little message bubble and they would see it here. So that's where you would send a message. If you posted a resource, it would post down here under recommended resources and students could click into those as they please. And so that's something I haven't edited those for myself. So that's something that you're welcome to play around with if you'd like, but not necessary in terms of pulling reports and things like that. So course manager is the only one we didn't really get to go over today. So if you have questions about that, I'd love for you to reach out and ask me, because when you ask me questions, it forces me to go learn it. And that's one area I don't feel comfortable in yet, like I've mentioned a couple times. So, all righty. John, thanks so much for managing the chat for me.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad you're here today with us. If you guys don't know John, John's very, very helpful. Again, he's at the tutor level, so he is a great resource for us too. But we've gone over the admin system in a quick synopsis. Does anybody else have any questions, anything they want to cover, anything they're not sure about, any issues you're having? I know we've done that through the chat.
The only one I can't remember off the top of my head was Lana Sanders. I was doing one other thing too for the there was a couple people asking for access, but for Lana Sanders, is that all good or did that get resolved?
Lana, she's not here. I think she already got out.
She was one with district access and she's not able to add users, so I'm guessing she's at a school.
Yes, she's wanting to probably add teachers to the admin account. I told her to email Cooter and that they will send her the steps to get that taken care of. I'm not sure what school Lana's at, but I can find out, John, and I can let you know. Actually, let me
Yeah.
just go look while I have you on here.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, that was the one thing I couldn't
I've got her
remember.
email, John, and I may just email her
Okay.
and just check to see if she needs help. So I think we're all wrapped up. We've just got a few more minutes. If anybody has any other questions, anything else they want to talk through. Okay, if not, have a great day. Again, this was recorded, so I'm going to send this out to you guys just in case you need a reference back to it, and I'll also send you the YouTube video. John, is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. If again, if you, for those of you that are on, or if you're listening to the
Thank you,
recording, if
Becky.
you
Oh,
don't
Dr.
have,
Dawson.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, if you don't have access or need help, or once you get the recording forwarded on, but if you don't have access or need help with access, support at cooter.com, and it's a pretty quick process. So
Yes.
yeah,
All right. Thanks, guys, for bearing with me through that. This is my first time doing this training, so hopefully it wasn't too rocky, but I feel like it's a pretty great system. I'm really excited about it. Once we get all the little things worked out, making sure people have the right access, it's going to be so handy to use for you guys, and I'm really excited about it. So please reach out. I will put my email in the chat, but I am going to email all of you. So you'll have my email coming through anyway. But just in case you need to email me this morning, just shoot me an email. I'll email you guys by this afternoon. So, okay, have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
thanks. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.